Rodeos. Where to even start? There has been so many opinions to deal with the countless efforts getting put into the annual rodeos that show up all over the globe. America, Canada, Brazil, Russia, China, Japan, Australia, Africa, they all have their own versions of the rodeo. And each one is equally as messed up. There was an article written earlier by Lucia Corbella, and it appeared last week defending the use of retired racehorses and the other ranch animals that were used in all the rodeos, mainly the Calgary Stampede. The headline literally read, "Rodeo animals love what they do, and they wouldn't exist otherwise." One of the column's main arguments was supporting the use of retired thoroughbred racehorses and the chuck wagon races and she literally quoted, "These horses, most of them, are destined to the meat plant because there's nowhere else for these animals to go, and there's no one able to even look after them, nor do they want to." I would not consider myself an expert in the field, but I've heard quite a few horse owners who have adopted the former thoroughbreds and allowed them to live on their hard-earned retirement with the peace and quiet and no worry in the world. So, what was her name? Licia? Yeah. Licia began her whole article saying that she visited the chuck wagon barns at the Stampede recently. It was an eye-opening experience. And the chuck wagon races are actually horses who travel down the track with these huge bandwagons behind them, and like most races, the fastest horse wins. There's been a lot of discussion whether these have been humane or not, because the stifles, which is like one of the muscles in the horse's legs, get pulled almost every race, which can make them lame for life. And when a horse goes lame, it's basically unrideable. So Licia reported that as the wagon master started harnessing the horses for an upcoming race, some horses started kicking at the stall walls, while the others who were not being put into the harness just moped and turned their back to their owners. The reason for the kicking in the wagon master claimed was that these harnessed horses were totally pumped, knowing that they'd soon be in the chuck wagon race, and the reason for the moping was that these neglected horses knew that they weren't going to be included in the upcoming races. Nice. So, with the possible exception of Mr. Ed, the talking horse that starred in the 1950s television show sitcom, I've never trusted people who claim they know this certainly what an animal was thinking. 6 horses have died in a horrible death in last year's chuck wagon stampede races. Perhaps the horses who were kicking the stalls were aware of the shameful history of the animal cruelty surrounding these races and were expressing their disapproval for the whole event. And perhaps the horses that were moping were just saying a silent prayer of thanks to the god of horses, saying, "Thank you for letting me live another day." Or maybe these animals were just expressing random horse-centric behavior with no thought to the upcoming races, and their owners were interpreting their actions to suit their own purpose. Who knows what the hell animals are thinking? So Licia later cries like the horse owner's uncanny ability to interpret the horse. So as race time approached, she wrote, "It sounded like a thunder and lightning storm had broken out. The horses realized that they would not get to race that night, and they started stomping and kicking the walls in protest. His loquacious talking parrot taught the famous Dr. Dolittle to talk to his animals. I wonder who taught these chuck wagon riders to talk to their horses." So later the column quotes a former bull rider who says that while he can't prove it, he's pretty sure the rodeo bulls love what they do. I would suggest that they are beyond happy to buck rather than appear on a platter. Yeah, I'm sure that's what a bull, bucking strap, like the cinch tightly pinching their undergirth, the midriff, thinking, oh, is while trying to get this cowboy off his back. That's if he's not figuring his head the power of pi to the 50th digit. So, personally, I don't like rodeos. I think they inflict unnecessary cruelty on any of these creatures, and yet they proliferate in North America, while the little circuses with just a few well cared for ponies, lions, tigers, bears, whatever, and a few miniature donkeys gets run out of town because the town father perceives the little dog and pony show as an example of extreme animal cruelty. Please understand this is not a rant against redneck Westerners. It's just like, I've spent quite a few time in Calgary, and I have immense respect for the people there. They do things that I could never even contemplate doing. The open friendliness of their can-do attitude and the breathtaking beauty of the place they call home, Alberta. I don't believe at this stage of mankind's evolution that we should be putting animals in unnecessary peril for our own amusement. Like, I don't condemn these Alberta rodeo fans. I am not a starry-eyed vegan snowflake. You know, I eat meat. But as an experienced horsewoman, I know that if a retired thoroughbred, like an off-track thoroughbred, is sound, so there's nothing wrong with it, like its full legs are fine, it's not lame, it's fine, like they can usually find a good home. Like, if not, it's it's the abattoir. But at least there, the end, like, hopefully, is quick, and there aren't bleachers full of screaming fans cheering the guys with knives on the killing floor. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. It has been a real pleasure.